How's it going? All right, good. Like I said yesterday, today's kind of the last big practice before we start to get ready for Pittsburgh this weekend. So be a lot of ones versus ones work, offense versus defense, and then we'll have the twos kind of working in between. Just they're in kind of a normal practice mode. They won't get as many reps, but we're going to kind of scrimmage out the first offense, first defense, and then have special teams in the middle. So it'll be good.
Good. This is the first year where roster cut down day is all happening on one day. How does that change the dynamic of the decisions you're making? And is there any opportunity there for you to get an extended look at guys?
I don't think it really changes things all that much. I mean, you got to get your. I guess if anything, I tell you, it does put more stress on those guys upstairs. Just the personnel department making sure that everything is, that you can keep up with the number of guys that are possibly out there. But as far as everything else, I mean, it's business as usual. I mean, we're as soon as this game is over, I mean, Brad and I are pretty much on it, So from that standpoint, it won't change really anything.
Just going to say, you've got a lot of these guys on the ones that is around for a couple of years now, but at this stage in camp or right before the season, is there anything you're still looking to accomplish? What do you want to accomplish with those guys before you get to Rams week, I guess?
Really yesterday was kind of the last missing piece, really. I think from a schematic portion of the game, we wanted to hit some of that second long into third down, get backed up again. And that was a little bit of the last of it. So that felt good to tie that up. And now, it's a little bit of new installs are beginning to blend in. We've been tinkering with stuff, but we'll have some new wrinkles today on offense, same on defense, different fronts, different looks, pressures, and things that are, let's see what it looks like. We don't necessarily major in them, but they're good wrinkles to see if we like them, to attack each other. Offense and defense, kind of see if we can expose each other a little bit here. And so that'll be good. And then, but really just this type of day is really this is another step to prepare these players are going to, that are playing in this Rams game, to get them physically ready for what's coming, because this will, for the most part, be their game.
That's not necessarily for the Rams. That's just stuff that you may need later on down the road.
Yeah, that's not. We're not into. Hey, this is definitely what we're running against the Rams. This is just things that could come up versus Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago. Could be the Rams. Just things that we may like, and we want to see what they look like.
I want to ask two guys in one question, just because of the similarities and how they're brought in, even though they're at different stages of their development. Roderick Martin and Manu, those are two guys that you knew were going to be, I guess, projects.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious how you've seen Roderick grow in year one, year two. Seems like there's a lot more consistency to his game, and then Manu, obviously, we knew how long of a road he had, I guess, to get where you eventually need him. But how have you seen him grow since you got him in?
Yeah, both of those guys have grown. Broderick has been in the system for a year now, and Broderick. Look, you look at the game. It's really like the Giants too. Man, when it's good, it's good, and then when it's not, it can be glaring. And so it's just that consistency of it. The good news is that, man, he can get in there, use his length, strike blocks. He's strong. He's physical. And then it's just a matter of doing it over and over and over. He's got to be able to just do a yeoman's job, play in, play out. It's a thankless job. It's selfless. You're in for the long haul when you play that position, the nose tackle. So, but he has grown. He's gotten better, and that's ultimately what you're looking for. Manu, same thing. We knew when we acquired him, this was going to be a bit of a ride here. Before he would be ready to go. And it's the same thing. We want this gradual improvement every day. Just, man, focus on one thing and get better at that. Hank's telling you to do this, that's what you focus on. And, man, I thought he was better in the game the other day. I thought he improved. And, man, he's figuring it out. He's getting there. Now, I can't give you a timetable, but he has improved. You know, he's beginning to look like he belongs.
Dan, speaking of improvement, you mentioned yesterday that, you know, you thought maybe 5 or 6 spots were open for the 53. How much has that changed since the first year you guys were here 3 years ago? And how much more difficult is it to make this 53 squad, person squad in 3 years?
It's changed significantly. It's, I mean, shoot, 21, we were, I mean, you know, we were wide open. I mean, literally wide open. You know, you had an idea that Sewell was going to make it, and we drafted him 7 overall. You know, and you have an idea on some of these guys, but there was a whole roster full of, we have no idea. We don't know who's going to be the next receiver. We don't know, you know, linebacker position, the D line. I mean, it was wide open, and you know. And so now here we are, and you feel like you've tied down most of these spots, and we're going to have to let go of some good players. You know, I think ultimately that I think can play in this league at some point here at different positions, and that's a hard thing to do. But it also shows where our roster is at to this point. It's grown a ton. Brad's done a hell of a job.
Dan, I know it's only been a week and a half, and there's such short time, but with Jake Fromm, will we see him this weekend? And is there competition there with him and Sudfeld?
Yeah, that's tough because we haven't really got to see much of him, you know. And when we brought him in, it was if depending on when Hooker can or can't come back, you know, how much can we get him? What, you know, and so I don't anticipate really getting to see him. You know, I don't want to say absolutely not, but I think the priority will be Hooker, and I think we need to get Nate some reps, and then we'll see what's there with Fromm.
You talk a lot about incremental gains. I think has become maybe your signature hand gesture.
This?
Yeah. I just wonder, I know you've been asked kind of this before, but how do you evaluate yourself in that as well? Because I imagine that's a really big, important goal for you is finding ways to get incrementally better. You know, as you progress through an off season, how do you judge and gauge your own improvement as a coach?
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes in the situations, you know, situational football. That's why I try to keep those as fresh as possible, and you try to fabricate as many difficult decisions that you can put your team in and yourself, because that's what's happening inevitably. Because I've said this before, it's one thing to set them up, think through it, here's the possibilities, but then when you have one of these where it's, you know, 40 seconds left, minus 40, no timeouts, and you play it out, and now all of a sudden you're in it. You're not quite to that point yet until you're absolutely in it, you know. And now it's like what happened yesterday. We got 13 seconds left. You know, Hooker's got the ball, need to get in the field goal range. Well, you know, are we in Bates's range just to hit one, swing at one? Can we get 5 more? Can we clock it? Well, yeah, but not if you throw it 20 yards downfield. You know, you get in the middle of those, and the players need to live it. Like Hooker needs to live it. I need to live it. Ben needs to live it. You know, and those make you better. So as many of those as you can fabricate, I think that makes you a much sharper, much more prepared coach. So I think it's that, and then just the nature of the way we practice, trying to keep it fresh, you know, trying to challenge these guys and challenge the coordinators, quite frankly.
Kingsley, he's got a lot of reps at center in the preseason, saw him at guard yesterday. What have you kind of seen from him as camp's gone on?
Yeah, he's really, I mean, he's a guy that, you know, certainly has caught our eye. I mean, he's put the work in. He's pretty polished for a young guy. He's got good feet. He's quick. He's smart. He's tough. And so we're just getting him some reps in there to see what it looks like. But he's, you know, he didn't look out of place yesterday doing that, you know, and he'll get some more today at that position. So, you know, we like Kingsley. He works his tail off.
Between him, Nice, and Coyote, is that maybe one of those positions that there's still a spot up for grabs?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, Brad and I have gone back and forth on that as well. How many linemen are we keeping? You know, what does that come down to? You know, is potentially one of those linemen more important than you know, the safety, one of these safeties, depth safety, or or does it come down to a fullback tight end, or it's so we're constantly playing that. I know you guys are playing the numbers game. We're playing it all too. Is what's the best roster? What's the can one guy handle two spots, or is it worth keeping? Like to your point, all three of them. So we're honestly, I don't have that answer. We're in the middle of it, and I think it's going to sort itself out by the time we get through Pittsburgh.
As you're dealing with that numbers game, how do you sort of game out can this guy get through to the practice squad or get claimed? I mean, how do those conversations work?
Hey, I'll be honest with you. I lean on Brad for that. That is 100%. I just go to him. I say, "What do you think?" And old wise one, you let me know because I have no idea. And he has not missed yet. When he's told me something, and going on 4 years, he hasn't missed. So I have a lot of trust in what Brad says. So that's where, for me, that's where I turn. All right, and we'll go from there.
Just on a lighter note, I've talked to the players about the rookie talent show. They've all raved about Sione Vaki and what he did. Was it the best rookie performance show that you saw? And does his performance live up to the billing?
Well, I don't know if it's the best performance, but as far as the best voice that I've heard, probably it's up there. Now, Uku's got a damn good voice too, all right? And they may be singing a duet today after practice. So those two have but Vaki's voice the performance was, the voice, it was pretty phenomenal. It really is. So maybe he'll sing for you guys sometime. You need to ask him.
Channeling your inner Simon Cowell up there. I want to just quickly follow up on the situational improvements you're always trying to make, Dan. I'm just curious, that obviously is the thing that people break down the most after a game. People have the questions or the criticisms about them. How's your game day process changed situationally in terms of maybe who you're talking to the headset? I know you get reports after each game, just kind of how things develop on the league. How have you found ways to make yourself better on game days?
Well, I think so much of that is going through game day. It's the fact that we're going on year 4 of this, and I think, look, one of the people that I talk to, upstairs is John Dykema. All right, so he helps me on some of this stuff. Hey, man, I think because he gets the eye in the booth, you know what I mean, and before I do, and so I've got to rely on him on some things, but. We worked together that really the first time was 2022, and we had to get through some rough spots now, and now we flow pretty well, and we're, like I say, we're going on year 3. He knows exactly, these things will come up. If it looks like this, what do you want? I said, don't even bring it to me, but if it's this, then yes, absolutely, call down and let's talk about it. So he knows exactly what my thought process. It's not worth wasting a challenge. This would be. And so once you've done it long enough and been with these people long enough, you've been with the coordinators, then you flow pretty efficiently. So I think it's all encompassing. I think it's time on task. We go through these reports after every game. He'll write the whole thing up, every situation that happened, time on the clock, timeouts, this was a penalty that was called. This is what on both sides of the ball, and then we analyze it. We go back over it after the game, and what could we have done better? What should have we have done? That was a good decision, and so I just think when you do those over a certain amount of time, you get better.
Hey, can I start real quick, man, about Mitchell Agude? I know he did some good things last year.
Yeah.
Squad and had a good spring. Is he plateaued? Are you still seeing some growth from him?
No, I see growth. We like Mitch. Mitch, he's another guy, just busts his rear, man. He gives you everything he's got out there, and man, he's got some rush ability. He's strong, quick off the edge. And look, we moved him to Sam linebacker last week, so we kind of made that change. Let's put him at Sam and move Houston to more D end. So we flopped those two, and it's not necessarily the perfect position for Mitch. But he's made the most of it, and he's trying to make it work, and that's a credit to him, but he still has enough of that where he can play the DM position and really excel at what he does best. So he's doing a good job. We like Mitch. Yep.